Pharaoh Semerkhet of the Old Kingdom of Ancient Egypt. Pharaoh Semerkhet, who reigned during the first dynasty of ancient Egypt, is a figure enveloped in both intrigue and mystery. His reign, though relatively short compared to some of his predecessors and successors, played a significant role in the early formation of the Egyptian state and its institutions. This text aims to delve into the life, reign, and legacy of Semerkhet, providing a comprehensive and detailed examination of his contributions to the Old Kingdom of ancient Egypt. We will explore his rise to power, administrative policies, religious influences, and his eventual legacy. Early life and ascension to the throne. The early life of Semerkhet remains largely obscure due to the paucity of surviving records from that era. He was born into the royal family of the First Dynasty, and his parentage is believed to be linked to King Anajib, his predecessor. The exact circumstances surrounding his birth and upbringing are unknown, but it is likely that he was groomed for leadership from a young age, as was customary for royal heirs in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt during Semerkhet's youth was a society undergoing significant transformation. The unification of Upper and Lower Egypt had not long been achieved, and the pharaoh's authority was still being solidified. Growing up in such a dynamic environment, Semerkhet would have been acutely aware of the political and social challenges that came with ruling a newly unified kingdom. He would have received extensive education in administration, religion, military strategy, and governance to prepare him for his future role as king. Upon the death of Anajib, Semerkhet ascended to the throne of Egypt. His rise to power was marked by a period of instability and political maneuvering, as the nascent Egyptian state was still consolidating its power and territory. Despite these challenges, Semerkhet successfully established himself as the ruler, adopting the full royal titulary that signified his authority and divine right to govern. Semerkhet's ascension was not without controversy. Some historical records suggest there may have been conflicts or power struggles that accompanied his rise. The transition of power in the early dynastic period was often fraught with tension, as competing factions vied for influence. Nevertheless, Semerkhet managed to secure his position and embarked on a reign that would be marked by efforts to stabilize and strengthen the young Egyptian state. Administrative and political reforms. Semerkhet's reign is often noted for several key administrative and political reforms that helped strengthen the central authority of the monarchy. One of his significant contributions was the restructuring of the provincial administration. By appointing loyal officials to govern the various nomes, administrative divisions, of Egypt, Semerkhet ensured a more efficient and cohesive governance structure. These officials were responsible for collecting taxes, maintaining local order, and implementing the king's decrees, thereby reinforcing the centralization of power. The importance of a strong and loyal administrative apparatus cannot be overstated in the context of ancient Egypt. Each nome was a microcosm of the kingdom, with its own unique needs and challenges. By placing trusted individuals in positions of power, Semerkhet could ensure that his policies and directives were carried out effectively across the entire kingdom. This move also helped to curtail the influence of local chieftains who might have sought to challenge the authority of the pharaoh. Additionally, Semerkhet undertook measures to standardize administrative practices and record-keeping. This included the introduction of new methods for documenting agricultural yields, trade transactions, and labor contributions. Such measures not only enhanced the efficiency of the state, but also facilitated the collection of resources necessary for major state projects, including temple constructions and other monumental endeavors. One of the critical aspects of Semerkhet's administrative reforms was the establishment of more rigorous and systematic taxation procedures. By creating a more predictable and regularized tax system, he could ensure a steady flow of resources into the royal treasury. These resources were vital for funding public works, religious activities, and maintaining the pharaoh's court. The improved record-keeping practices also allowed for better management of state resources and more effective planning of agricultural and infrastructural projects. Religious policies and innovations. Religion played a central role in the life and governance of ancient Egypt, and Semerkhet's reign was no exception. As pharaoh, he was seen as both a political leader and a divine intermediary between the gods and the people. Semerkhet made several notable contributions to the religious landscape of his time, seeking to bolster the religious institutions that underpinned his rule. One of Semerkhet's key religious initiatives was the promotion of the cult of Horus, the falcon-headed god associated with kingship and the sky. By aligning himself closely with Horus, Semerkhet reinforced his divine legitimacy and sought to solidify his authority over both the religious and secular spheres of Egyptian life. This alignment with Horus was reflected in the art and iconography of his reign, with numerous depictions of the pharaoh in the guise of the god. Horus was not just a symbol of royal power, but also represented protection, war, and hunting. By adopting Horus as his divine patron, Semerkhet could project an image of strength and invincibility. This divine association was crucial in legitimizing his rule, especially during times of political uncertainty or challenges to his authority. Furthermore, Semerkhet is believed to have commissioned the construction and renovation of several temples dedicated to various deities. These projects not only served religious purposes but also acted as tangible demonstrations of the king's piety and dedication to maintaining Ma'at, the concept of cosmic order and justice that was central to Egyptian belief. Temples were not merely places of worship but also served as economic and administrative centers. By investing in temple construction, Semerkhet was simultaneously promoting religious devotion and bolstering the economic and social infrastructure of his kingdom. The role of the pharaoh in religious ceremonies was paramount. Semerkhet would have participated in numerous rituals and offerings to appease the gods and ensure their favor. These ceremonies were essential for maintaining Ma'at, as the pharaoh was considered the earthly guarantor of this cosmic order. By actively engaging in religious practices, Semerkhet reinforced the perception of his divine mandate to rule. Military campaigns and foreign relations. The exact nature and extent of Semerkhet's military campaigns are not well documented, but there is evidence to suggest that he engaged in efforts to protect and expand Egypt's borders. The early dynastic period was characterized by frequent skirmishes with neighboring regions and internal conflicts as the state sought to assert its dominance. Semerkhet's military endeavors likely included campaigns to secure Egypt's frontiers, particularly in the Sinai Peninsula and Nubia. These regions were crucial for their valuable resources, including copper and gold, which were essential for the economic prosperity of the kingdom. By securing these territories, Semerkhet not only ensured a steady supply of resources, but also demonstrated his prowess as a military leader. The Sinai Peninsula was of particular strategic importance due to its mineral wealth, especially copper, which was vital for tool and weapon production. Control over Sinai also meant access to trade routes connecting Egypt with the Levant and beyond. Semerkhet's military campaigns in this region would have aimed at securing these resources and trade routes, thereby strengthening Egypt's economic and strategic position. In addition to military campaigns, Semerkhet's reign may have seen the establishment of diplomatic relations with neighboring polities. Trade and exchange were vital aspects of ancient Egyptian society, and maintaining peaceful relations with neighboring states would have facilitated the flow of goods and ideas. While specific details of such diplomatic interactions are sparse, it is plausible that Semerkhet engaged in efforts to strengthen Egypt's external ties. Diplomatic relations in ancient Egypt often involved marriage alliances, gift exchanges, and treaties. These practices helped to forge alliances and maintain peace with neighboring states. By engaging in diplomacy, Semerkhet could ensure the stability and security of his kingdom, allowing him to focus on internal development and governance. Economic policies and development. Semerkhet's reign witnessed significant economic activities and developments that contributed to the prosperity of the Old Kingdom. Agriculture formed the backbone of the Egyptian economy, and Semerkhet implemented measures to enhance agricultural productivity and ensure food security for his people. This included the construction and maintenance of irrigation systems, which were vital for controlling the floodwaters of the Nile and maximizing crop yields. The annual flooding of the Nile was central to Egyptian agriculture, depositing nutrient-rich silt on the fields and providing water for irrigation. By investing in irrigation infrastructure, Semerkhet ensured that the benefits of the Nile's inundation were maximized, leading to higher agricultural yields and greater food security. This, in turn, supported population growth and economic stability. Trade was another crucial aspect of the economy during Semerkhet's reign. Egypt engaged in both internal and external trade, exchanging goods such as grain, linen, and papyrus for valuable commodities like timber, copper, and luxury items. Semerkhet's policies likely encouraged trade by improving infrastructure, such as roads and ports, facilitating easier movement of goods and merchants. Egypt's strategic location at the crossroads of Africa and Asia made it a hub for trade routes connecting the Mediterranean, Red Sea, and sub-Saharan Africa. By promoting trade, Semerkhet could enhance the kingdom's wealth and access to resources. This trade not only involved material goods, but also the exchange of ideas and technologies, contributing to the cultural and technological development of Egypt. Moreover, Semerkhet's reign saw advancements in craftsmanship and industry. Skilled artisans produced a wide range of goods, including pottery, jewelry, and tools, which were not only used domestically but also traded with neighboring regions. The production of these goods contributed to the overall economic vitality of the kingdom. Craftsmanship in ancient Egypt was highly developed, with artisans working in state-run workshops producing goods for both domestic use and export. The quality and variety of these products were a testament to the skill and creativity of Egyptian craftsmen. By fostering a thriving artisan community, Semerkhet supported economic diversification and cultural enrichment. Architectural and cultural achievements. One of the most enduring legacies of Semerkhet's reign is his contributions to Egyptian architecture and culture. While the specifics of his building projects remain somewhat elusive, it is evident that he played a role in the development of monumental architecture that would come to characterize the Old Kingdom. Semerkhet's construction efforts likely included the building of temples, palaces, and possibly his own tomb complex. These structures were not only functional but also symbolic, reflecting the power and grandeur of the pharaoh. The architectural innovations of this period laid the groundwork for the more ambitious projects undertaken by later dynasties, including the construction of the pyramids. The development of monumental architecture during Semerkhet's reign represented a significant achievement in both engineering and artistic expression. Temples served as focal points for religious activities and were designed to impress both the divine and the mortal. Palaces, on the other hand, symbolized the pharaoh's worldly power and were centers of administrative and political life. Culturally, Semerkhet's reign saw the continuation and evolution of artistic traditions. Art and craftsmanship flourished under his patronage, with artisans producing works that displayed a high degree of skill and sophistication. These artistic achievements were often closely tied to religious and royal themes, serving to glorify the pharaoh and the gods. Egyptian art from this period is characterized by its attention to detail, realism, and symbolic representation. Artists and craftsmen created sculptures, reliefs, and paintings that depicted the pharaoh, deities, and scenes from daily life. These works were not only decorative but also served religious and propagandistic purposes, reinforcing the divine and earthly authority of the pharaoh. The Abydos king list and historical legacy. Semerkhet's place in the annals of Egyptian history is cemented by his inclusion in the Abydos king list, a chronological list of pharaohs that was compiled during the 19th dynasty. This list, found in the Temple of Seti I at Abydos, is one of the primary sources of information about the rulers of early dynastic Egypt. The inclusion of Semerkhet in this list underscores his importance and recognition as a legitimate and significant ruler of the First Dynasty. Despite the scarcity of contemporary records, his reign was evidently considered noteworthy enough to be remembered by subsequent generations. The legacy of Semerkhet is also reflected in the continued reverence for his memory by later pharaohs. By establishing and maintaining traditions, institutions, and policies that would endure for centuries, Semerkhet contributed to the foundational framework upon which the later dynastic periods of Egypt would build. Semerkhet's impact on Egyptian history can be seen in the stability and continuity of the Old Kingdom, which followed his reign. His administrative and economic reforms laid the groundwork for the prosperity and achievements of subsequent pharaohs. The religious and cultural traditions he upheld and promoted continued to shape Egyptian society for millennia. Conclusion. Pharaoh Semerkhet, despite the relative brevity of his reign, left an indelible mark on the early history of ancient Egypt. Through his administrative reforms, religious initiatives, military campaigns, economic policies, and cultural achievements, he played a crucial role in shaping the nascent Egyptian state. His legacy, preserved in the annals of history and celebrated in the Abydos king list, attests to his significance as a ruler of the Old Kingdom. As we continue to uncover and study the remnants of his reign, Semerkhet's contributions to the rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian civilization remain an enduring testament to his leadership and vision.